Jacques, thanks for the time. So I was looking through these numbers and I was thinking to myself, it looks like it's all singles, because I was looking at revenue for the year up just 6%. You're looking at adjusted headline earnings per share also up, I think, was that 5%, down 5% actually. And everything seems to have been very difficult. Why?
Yes, Godfrey, thanks. Good to be here with you today. It's a tough macroeconomic environment out there for us at the moment. You know, we've been going through a while now where gaming revenues, the growth there has been very muted. On the hotel side, business confidence, also we're not getting the sort of travel that we used to get. So on the hotel side, its occupancy is fairly flat and the room rate's also not really growing. What we need really for our business is for consumers and businesses to feel better and spend more. On the consumer confidence side, specifically on the gaming side, we need people to, they still have our properties, they love coming there, they enjoy being there, but they can't afford to spend more than last year. And similarly on the hotel side, we need business confidence to pick up, more deals to happen, people to travel, for that to pick up.
Yeah, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about that. I wanted to look at the earnings without the impact of those two acquisitions that you made. Would the earnings have been down?
Yes. Now, if you look at the, without the acquisition of the Vukani and Galaxy, our revenues would have been up 1% and our EBITDA would have been flat. So there was still some small organic growth, but EBITDA would have been flat on that basis.
Yeah.
I think given the environment we're in, just to say that our inorganic overheads grew by 1%, and I think that's quite an achievement to have in this environment.
Absolutely. At the same time, though, I also see gaming revenue was down, and I thought to myself, the house is lost.
Yeah, I think gaming revenue is down. If you look at this year, because of the opening of Times Square, there was an impact there in Gauteng on our other casinos. Times Square opened in Pretoria, and obviously for people who live more closer, or it's more convenient for them to Times Square, we would have lost business to that. Having said that, the impact on our business was quite a bit smaller than we would have thought. But Gauteng generally has had a tough year. I think although you see the province going up at 7%, if you take out the new mainland casino, the rest of the province, excluding Tsogo, would have gone down 4%, and we went down about 3%.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about the hotels, and I see in the South African side, you had revenues up 8%. Offshore, you were down 11%. The difference in the performance there? When you think about it, the South African economy is struggling, but offshore, it is a little better, isn't it?
Offshore, you know, most of the countries we operate in, Nigeria, Mozambique, Tanzania, those countries are all countries that are reliant really on commodities, and the commodity cycle is not good at the moment. So what we're finding there is that we're both under pressure on occupancy and on rates.
Right. And things were difficult.
Yeah, things this year definitely were difficult in the offshore environment. The two big ones we need to fire offshore is Maputo and then Ikoi in Lagos, Nigeria. And those two have just not got back to the occupancies and the rates that we want them to.
Are you hopeful, given the turnaround that we've seen in commodity prices, and also I think we've seen faster growth in those countries, if you believe the IMF?
Yeah, I think we are hopeful that those things will come through. There's always a lag in the hotel business from when the economy actually turns.
Yeah. Let's talk about the regulatory environment in South Africa. You have a few concerns. Outline them, please. I'm sure the authorities would like to know what you're unhappy about.
Yeah, we're in a very highly regulated environment in gambling. I think one of the most regulated environments in the country. We've recently had a VAT increase. Now, people won't understand this because normally a vendor just passes on the VAT to the customer. But when you've lost 100 Rand in the casino, we can't say to you, now give us another 15 Rand for the VAT. You've lost 100 Rand. So we actually bear the VAT burden. We pay VAT out of our own pockets. So with the VAT going up with 1%, that had an impact of about 54 million, will have an impact 54 million per annum on our EBITDA line. Sure. Then Gauteng has been making noises about increasing their provincial tax. We've been talking to them about that for a number of years, but they have recently again published a draft regulation to increase the taxes, and we're still talking to that. And then lastly, smoking. You know, there's been the move towards banning smoking altogether in indoor places. Right. That's been there since 2012 draft regulations, but it seems that that's to the front burner again now.
Is that just in Gauteng or is that national?
No, that's national.
And what indications have you had that there could be more moves this election? this coming election year?
Yeah, no, there's been a new bill on the prohibition or the control of smoking and tobacco products, and that's in there really that it's proposed that all indoor smoking would be banned. Obviously in casinos at the moment, like as in restaurants and the like, we're allowed to have 25% of our floor as smoking areas.
Yeah. So it's been a difficult economy, so I guess what you do when you've got such a situation is you bed down and you try to prepare for the future. So I'm assuming you're preparing for growth, because we're going to talk about what this coming government is going to do. I see you've been involved in a few projects. Let's just talk about what you're doing to try to prepare for that growth.
We're looking at the future. We've opened recently a 500-room hotel in Cape Town. It's actually 2 hotels, a Stay Easy and Sun Square, in the City Bowl. So that's part of preparing for the future. We've now in April opened a Stay Easy in Maputo. So that's a new addition to the stable. We've obviously busy with a big refurb at Suncoast, an expansion of that property, a 1.6 billion rand refurb there. It's one of the properties where we feel there is pent-up demand that we simply can't supply. We don't have enough space and enough machines and tables for the people, especially in the pre-base. So we think that'll do very well. And then obviously we're also looking at Africa. We've got in Kitwe a garden court that'll be opening in June there, and then Southern Sun in Accra in Ghana that'll be opening next year. And then on the home front, we're just looking at costs very carefully, because obviously you've got to get through the bad times to get to the good times.
Yeah, and I see you staying in the sexier parts of Africa. You're not talking about getting more into the continent. I mean, there's 54 territories to go into.
Yeah, we've been in Africa for many years, and you know, what we like to do is take it one step at a time and get to know the territory well first before we just run in. Now, everybody's talking about building hotels in Africa, but in many of these centers, if you build one big hotel, there's oversupply. So it's a very careful balancing act to see where you can go and where you can actually get a commercial return on.
Yeah, let's get back home. Cyril, he's come in, he's changed a few things around, suggesting to some people that this economy could be well on the way to take off. What's your view?
Yeah, I think the positive political developments with Cyril coming online is good for us. I think you can already see sentiment turning. What we're not seeing yet is that translating into consistent increase in spend. But I think that's due to follow. I'm sure it's going to be good for the country.
Surely his job is just to make sure that the environment is conducive, and then everything else will follow. You guys need now to start unlocking those pockets of cash that we know are sitting on your balance sheets.
As I said to you, we're already busy unlocking. We're spending 1.6 billion at Suncoast. We've got the potential of a relocation of a casino in the Western Cape. So we're spending. We believe in the future, and we're spending on that basis.
If you were to criticize him, what would you say?
I would say that his 100 days. 100 days sounds like a long time, but it's short, and he's going to have to put more action into it and show people that he's actually going to carry through with what he said he will.